The Blood-Drawn Chronicles, Season 2, The Ballad of House M, is brought to you thanks to the generous donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you would like to make a donation towards our next season, titled Season 3, Psalm of the Hellborn Prince, visit www.tbdcpodcast.com for more information. On behalf of everyone here at DigiFox Studios, we want to thank you for listening, and now our story begins.
July 1st, 1690. Midnight signals the start of a new month. To Woodrow, Campeggio, and the others, the night calls for celebration. Whilst they sit around the table eager to start the festivities, I sit staring heavily at a pendulum clock as it sways back and forth. As I attempt to reflect on the outcome of recent events, my thought process is broken by a beautiful brunette woman dressed in roughly the same attire as Camilla. She places a goblet on the table, then sits on my lap, wrapping her arms around me, pressing her body against mine, ensuring I feel the tenderness of her ample breasts upon me. As she began caressing my face, I look around to find the other vampires, unlike myself, were enjoying the same experience. Her hand makes its way to my chest as she tries to make eye contact. I notice that contrary to the other vampire females resting on the laps of the other men, she was the only one aside from Camilla who merely sat on the left arm of Woodrow's chair to have pointed ears. She struggles to have my focus solely on her. I do not excuse her from my comforts, simply to sustain the atmosphere of the party. Were I a mere man, I would undoubtedly indulge in the advances of this exquisite creature. Nevertheless, the charade I post begins to take notice amongst the other gentlemen and their ladies.
What is the matter, Myrick? Do you not enjoy the company of a beautiful woman?
It's a shame, Hellborn Prince. The poor girl is simply dying to show you her affection.
Lord Rochford is right, but I know why you will not enjoy the company of the jewel on your lap. A man cannot enjoy what is in front of him when his mind is riddled with questions. Therefore, my friend, so that you may bask in the pleasures of tonight's festivities, I shall address the matter which restrains you from the joy of a woman's passion.
Thank you, Don Campeggio, but truth be told, there may not be much to tell that I haven't already figured out for myself.
Is that a fact? Please, enlighten us.
Lord Rochford, Count Brokva, and yourself govern over the city of Paris.
What leads you to say that?
Simple. I was assured that I'd find vampires in Paris. Yet, since I arrived, there's never been an indication of the sort at night. That can only mean one of two things. There were never any vampires in Paris, or that the vampires are well organized and governed, so as to remain secret. And being that Paris is such an immense city, the second of the two explanations seemed the most logical.
Impressive deductive skills, my lord. But that does not explain why you'd think we hold any dominion over this city.
And how do you know that we are not mere travelers?
Woodrow Carley is your answer, my Lord Rochford. My short friend prides himself on immersing in the extraordinary, going so far as to let one know that even the tea poured into the cup he shares with you surpasses the exceptional. Taking that into consideration, one can deduce that there is nothing mere about any man sitting at this table.
Bravo, my lord. Bravo. Your detective skills themselves are supernatural. Yet I can't help but notice you are still uncertain of something, aren't you?
Perhaps. I realized the moment I entered this room and sat down that the three of you were already aware of my existence. Men of your statures hide very little in your postures, your gestures, and even your mannerisms, which led me to wonder.
Why we would go through all of these, to meet you face to face. Very well. The truth is, days before you landed in Paris, a message arrived that a vampire of your likeness was under suspicion of the attempted murder on a true-born in his own home. We were forewarned that the vampire would be making his way to Paris. Our orders were to detain you and then inform the vampire tribunal.
Why didn't you?
We were prepared to carry out the order. That is, until you walked in the sunlight. You strolled through holy places, uninvited nonetheless. You may not have noticed it, as you appeared too deep in thought throughout most of your walk around Paris. But we found it fascinating, simply captivating.
We knew then we simply had to meet you before passing judgment.
However, simply being direct and inviting you here was too risky. And so we agreed to turn to a person with the proper resources to investigate you discreetly. Much to our fortune, you had already captivated his curiosity before we even approached him.
And the rest is pretty much self-explanatory, Myrick.
All except the wager at the end.
Ah, yes, that. I wagered them that if I brought you here and you conducted yourself in a gentlemanly manner, as I knew you would, they would ignore the message they received entirely.
Not so much ignoring as fabricating.
Yes, the tribunal is searching for a ruthless, a senseless blood slayer, as they put it, who attempted an unsanctioned murder. We will simply report that no such vampire by that comparison ever made his way through the city.
And thus the party may now commence. Myrick, these men have gone through great lengths to meet you. Perhaps now is the right time to properly introduce yourself.
I am Myrick, son of Myre of House M, Count of Helborn, and for tonight, your humbled guest.
Let us toast, then, to Count Myrick.
They raised their goblets in my honor. When the vampire beauty on my lap first placed the goblet in front of me, I could tell the contents within to be that of human blood. I realized there is one thing about me they've yet to discover: my eating habits. My hosts have made the assumptions that, like them, I too nourish upon the blood of man. Alas, I am but a virgin to the taste of human blood, and though I try to hesitate having the edge of the cup upon my lips, proper table etiquette compels me to go forward. In one single motion, I drain the goblet of its contents.
I see you were thirsty, Myrick.
Was it that obvious, Count Brockva? To tell the truth, I end my sentence short as I begin to hear a slight, impulsive sound coming from my chest. My heart is beating. For the first time in this world, I begin to feel an emotion I've only come to encounter in men. Fear.
Are you all right, Count Myrick?
Yes, I am. Forgive me, I'm simply feeling a bit static to indulge in tonight's festivities.
Aren't we all? Isn't that right, Woodrow?
Indeed. Speaking of which, my lady Camilla and I would like to get an early start. Gentlemen?
Woodrow and Camilla take their exit. I sit properly reposed in my chair, awaiting the inevitable. The sign of my beating heart can only mean one thing. Soon, I will transform into a creature the likes of which should never be unleashed in this world. I will become a monster, a mindless behemoth, twice the size of the Horde King's transformation, and completely animalistic. I will kill everything in my path until the beast within me is satisfied. On the edge of my seat now, I await for the horror that is to happen. I feel a strange sensation I've never felt before. In my lifetime, I've never transformed. This feeling I feel is a stranger in my own body. I feel the animal within me growing. How long do I have until the demon awakens? The beauty on my lap turns my head in her direction. Has she the power to sense what I feel? I gaze upon her. Our lips make contact. I press her tightly against me, as if trying to merge two beings into one. She hisses loudly, showing her fangs, and digs her claws into my back. I respond by roaring loudly and squeezing firmly the tender skin of her bottom. Standing up, she takes me by my hand until we find ourselves in one of the bedrooms in the castle. I can no longer suppress my instincts. I take her for myself once more. She kisses me passionately as I rip every woven fiber in the ensemble that kept the pleasures of her flesh concealed from me. In turn, she disrobes me. The scent of her sweet-smelling perfume was enough to drive me mad. We lay bare together, our minds melded, our body motions in perfect sync with one another. Our pleasures intertwined as we let out sighs of satisfaction. She takes it a step further, clawing into me viciously so deep she draws blood, painting an abstract portrait on the canvas that is now my back. Our love-making defies the laws of gravity as we go from the floor to the walls to the ceiling, back to the floor. The climax of our adventure arrives. I part myself from the warmth of her body and collapse by a wall. My body exhausted, her face gratified. She grabs the sheets from the bed to cover herself as she exits the room. My heart simmers slightly. I take my clothes and dress myself once more. What have I done? I sit by the wall and contemplate what just happened. The room appears as if a whirlwind passed through it. As I stare at the ceiling in deep thought, I hear the voices of Woodrow and Camilla coming from the other end. I focus my efforts on overhearing their conversation.
So, he admits to killing Godfrey.
Attempted murder is not the same as murder, my dear Camilla.
Spare me your word games, Carly. You have no idea the things he's capable of. Yet you continue your games with him. Why?
You know as well as I that once the tribunal makes up their mind, there's no going back. Sooner or later, they will find him. Sure, I can hide him, but we both know it won't be long before they send them, and I don't need that.
You're treading dangerous waters this time, my dear Woodrow. Even if I agree to the next phase of your plan, there's no chance that I can convince the tribunal of his innocence.
No, but you can convince your mother, and 1 out of the 3 tribunal members on our side makes it a little bit easier for the vote to head in my favor.
You want me to convince my mother to drop his case? You're mad if you think she'll listen to me.
Perhaps, but think for a moment what I could learn from him if given the proper time. In just one sitting with him, I've learned of the root of our curses. Imagine what more he has to unveil about our origins. Can you even fathom the possibility of one day enjoying a walk in the sunlight? Is it not all worth one heartfelt conversation with your dear mother? I, for one, have grown tired of nightlife. Every day I wish only to step into the sunlight once again as I did in my youth, before this horrid curse was placed upon me. I have now been given the opportunity to make that dream a reality. You will talk to your mother. If I recall correctly, she's a visionary. Remind her that dreams need one day become reality, or they become regarded as mere delusions.
Your intentions are noble. But remember, my dear Woodrow, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
My dear Camilla, we're already in hell. I'm trying to pave an exit. Now then, let us enjoy what's left of tonight before the sun's light once again reminds us of what we have to fear, shall we?